Before we begin, I want you to know something. This video is not about fear. It is not about diagnosing illness. It is about understanding how sleep naturally changes with age, and why waking at 3 in the morning is often part of that process. Let's begin. If you are over 40, there is a good chance this has happened to you. You fall asleep without much trouble. The night feels calm. And then, suddenly, you wake up. You look at the clock. It is around 3 in the morning. Your body feels awake, but your mind feels confused. You are not fully alert, yet you cannot fall back asleep easily. You might lie there wondering what went wrong. Many people in this situation start to worry. They think something is broken. They wonder if their sleep is getting worse, or if aging is slowly taking something away from them. But here is something important to understand right away. Waking up at 3 in the morning does not automatically mean something is wrong. In fact, for many adults, especially after 40, this pattern is surprisingly common. Some people wake up once. Some wake up almost every night. Others wake up at 3 and then again closer to morning. And while it can feel frustrating, confusing, or even scary, this experience often has a very natural explanation. As we get older, our sleep does not disappear. It changes. The structure of sleep shifts. The way our body moves through the night becomes lighter and more sensitive, and certain hours of the night become more vulnerable to waking. 3 in the morning is one of those hours. Not because something suddenly breaks at that time, but because it sits at a very specific point in how sleep cycles, hormones, and body rhythms work together. This video is not about diagnosing problems. It is not about telling you that you have a disorder. And it is not about giving extreme advice. Instead, this video is about understanding. Understanding why your body wakes up at this hour. Understanding why this happens more often with age. And understanding when it is normal and when it deserves gentle attention. For many people, simply knowing why this happens already brings relief. Because confusion often creates more stress than the waking itself. So if you find yourself awake at 3 in the morning, and you feel frustrated, tired, or alone in that moment, know that you are not the only one. And know that your body is not necessarily failing you. It may simply be communicating in a different way than it used to. Let us start by looking at how sleep cycles work, and why 3 in the morning plays such an important role. To understand why waking up at 3 in the morning is so common, we first need to understand how sleep actually works. Sleep is not one long, steady state. It moves in cycles. Throughout the night, your body travels through several sleep cycles, each lasting about 90 minutes. These cycles repeat again and again until morning. Each cycle has different stages. Some stages are lighter, some are deeper, and each stage serves a different purpose for the body and the brain. Early in the night, especially during the first few cycles, deep sleep is stronger. This is the phase when physical recovery happens. Muscles relax deeply. The immune system does its work. The body repairs itself. As the night progresses, deep sleep gradually decreases. Later cycles contain more light sleep and more dreaming sleep. This shift is completely normal. Now here is where 3 in the morning becomes important. For many adults, 3 in the morning sits right at a transition point. It is often the moment when the body moves out of deeper sleep and into lighter stages. In lighter sleep, the brain is more aware of its surroundings. Small sounds, slight discomfort, or even internal signals become noticeable. Things that would not wake you earlier in the night suddenly can. A change in breathing, a slight drop in blood sugar, a noise outside, a thought that quietly enters the mind. When you are younger, the boundary between sleep stages is stronger. The brain moves smoothly from one phase to another. But as we age, that boundary becomes thinner. The transitions between sleep stages are less stable. The brain becomes more sensitive during these shifts. This is why many people over 40 report waking up at similar times each night. Not because something external is causing it, but because the internal structure of sleep is changing. 3 in the morning also happens to be a time when the body begins preparing for morning very gently. Hormones slowly begin to adjust. Body temperature subtly shifts. The nervous system becomes slightly more alert. These changes are small, but when sleep is lighter, they can be enough to wake you. This does not mean your sleep is failing. It means your sleep is becoming more responsive. For some people, the awakening lasts only a moment. They turn over and fall back asleep. For others, the mind becomes active. Thoughts appear. And falling back asleep becomes harder. This difference often depends on stress, habits, and how relaxed the nervous system is overall. But the key point is this. Waking at 3 in the morning often reflects a natural shift in how sleep cycles behave with age. It is not random. It is not mysterious. And it is not always a sign of a problem. Understanding this pattern helps remove fear. And when fear decreases, the body often finds it easier to return to rest. One of the most common reasons people wake up around 3 in the morning after 40 is related to stress hormones, especially cortisol. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but that name can be misleading. Cortisol is not bad. It is essential for life. This hormone helps regulate blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation, and energy levels. It also plays a major role in your sleep-wake rhythm. In a healthy pattern, cortisol is lowest late at night. Then, it slowly begins to rise in the early morning hours, helping the body prepare to wake up. However, as we age, this rhythm can shift. After 40, many people experience a slightly earlier rise in cortisol. Instead of staying low until morning, cortisol may begin increasing around 3 or 4 a.m. This rise is subtle, but when sleep is already lighter, it can be enough to wake the brain. Stress makes this effect stronger. Daily stress does not disappear when you go to bed. The nervous system carries it into the night. Responsibilities, worries, unfinished tasks, emotional tension. All of these can quietly elevate cortisol levels. When cortisol rises too early, the brain moves into a more alert state. The body may still feel tired, but the mind becomes active. This is why many people wake at 3 in the morning with thoughts racing. They may not feel anxious during the day, yet at night, thoughts suddenly appear. This does not mean something is psychologically wrong. It means the stress response system has become more sensitive with age. Another important point is that aging changes how quickly the body clears stress hormones. When we are younger, cortisol spikes tend to resolve faster. With age, cortisol can stay elevated longer. This makes nighttime awakenings more likely. But here is the reassuring part. Waking due to cortisol does not mean your body is failing. It means your system is working just more responsively. Understanding this helps reduce fear. And reducing fear often lowers cortisol on its own. Another major reason people wake up at 3 in the morning after 40 is a natural shift in sleep depth. As we age, the proportion of deep sleep gradually decreases. This change begins earlier than most people expect, often in the late 30s or early 40s. Deep sleep is the stage where the body is most disconnected from the environment. Heart rate slows. Breathing becomes steady. The brain is harder to wake. With age, the brain spends less time in this deep stage and more time in light sleep. Light sleep is not bad. It is still real sleep, But light sleep is more fragile. During light sleep, the brain remains partially alert. It monitors the environment and internal signals more closely. This makes waking more likely. At 3 in the morning, when deep sleep has already declined for the night, many adults are naturally in lighter stages. This is why even small disturbances can wake you. A slight movement, a change in temperature, a shift in position, or even a subtle body sensation. For many people, the awakening feels sudden, but it is actually gradual. The brain slowly becomes more alert, then crosses the line into wakefulness. Importantly, this change does not mean your sleep quality is bad. It means your sleep architecture has changed. Trying to force deeper sleep often backfires. Pressure creates tension. Tension makes sleep lighter. Acceptance, on the other hand, often helps the nervous system settle again. This is why reassurance is so powerful for nighttime awakenings. When you stop fighting the awakening, the body often finds its way back to rest more easily. Another reason many people wake up around 3 in the morning has to do with blood sugar and digestion. This connection is often overlooked, especially in people who believe they eat normally. As we age, the way our body manages blood sugar becomes less stable at night. During sleep, the brain still needs a steady supply of glucose. If blood sugar drops too low, the body responds by releasing stress hormones. These hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline, are designed to wake you up. This process is protective. It exists to prevent the brain from running out of energy. But after 40, this system can become more sensitive. Small drops in blood sugar that would not have mattered before can now trigger a wake-up signal. This often happens between 2 and 4 in the morning. Digestion also slows with age. Heavy or late meals take longer to process. Alcohol affects blood sugar more strongly. Sugary snacks can cause a spike, followed by a drop. When digestion and blood sugar fluctuate during the night, sleep becomes lighter. The brain senses instability and responds by waking. Many people wake at 3 a.m., feeling alert, restless, or slightly uncomfortable without knowing why. They may not feel hungry. They may not feel sick, but the body is signaling imbalance. This does not mean you must change everything. It means awareness matters. Gentle consistency often helps more than strict control. Understanding this removes blame and fear. One of the most important yet least understood reasons people wake up at 3 in the morning after 40 is a shift in circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is your internal clock. It quietly controls when you feel sleepy, when you feel alert, and how your body moves through the day and night. When you are younger, this clock tends to run later. You may feel awake late into the evening, and you may sleep more deeply into the morning. But as we age, this clock naturally moves earlier. This change is not sudden. It happens gradually over many years. After 40, many people notice that they feel sleepy earlier in the evening. They may wake up earlier in the morning even without an alarm. 3 in the morning often falls near the edge of this shift. At this hour, the brain may already be transitioning toward a lighter, more alert state. This does not mean you are losing sleep. It means your timing has changed. One common misunderstanding is that waking early always means insomnia. In reality, many people are sleeping the same total number of hours, just distributed differently. They fall asleep earlier. They wake earlier. When expectations do not match this new rhythm, frustration appears. Another factor is light. As we age, the eyes become less sensitive to light cues. The brain receives weaker signals about day and night. This can confuse the circadian clock slightly, especially in the early morning hours. Artificial light at night and limited sunlight during the day can exaggerate this effect. the body becomes unsure whether it is time to stay asleep or begin waking. This uncertainty often appears as waking at 3 a.m. Importantly, this shift is not harmful. It is a normal part of aging biology. Many healthy adults experience it without any decline in overall health. The problem usually comes from resistance. When people fight this shift, forcing later bedtimes or worrying about early waking, the nervous system becomes tense. Tension makes sleep lighter. Acceptance, on the other hand, often allows sleep to stabilize. Working with the circadian rhythm instead of against it brings better rest. Understanding this helps remove fear. And when fear decreases, sleep often improves naturally. After understanding sleep cycles, stress hormones, blood sugar, digestion, and circadian rhythm, a very natural question remains. Is waking up at 3 in the morning normal? Or is it a sign that something is wrong? The honest answer is this. For most people over 40, it is normal. Occasional waking at 3 a.m. is a common part of how sleep changes with age. It reflects lighter sleep, earlier hormone shifts, and a more responsive nervous system. However, normal does not mean always ignore. There is a difference between natural waking and problematic waking. Natural waking usually has certain characteristics. You wake up calmly or mildly alert. Your body does not feel panicked. You may feel tired, but not distressed. Often, you can return to sleep even if it takes some time. Problematic waking feels different. It may come with a racing heart, strong anxiety, sweating, or a sense of dread. If waking at 3 a.m. is consistently accompanied by intense distress, pain, or shortness of breath, it deserves attention. Another sign to watch is daytime impact. If you are waking at night but still function reasonably well during the day, this suggests your body is adapting. If you feel exhausted every day, emotionally fragile, or unable to concentrate, something may need adjustment. But here is an important truth many people miss. The problem is often not the waking itself, but the fear that follows it. When people wake at 3 a.m. and immediately think, "Something is wrong with me," the nervous system activates further. This makes returning to sleep harder. Fear turns a normal biological event into a stressful one. Reframing the experience can change everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" ask, "What is my body doing right now?" Often, the answer is, "My body is transitioning." The goal is not to force sleep, but to allow rest. Sometimes rest looks like drifting in and out of sleep. Sometimes it means lying quietly. This still has value. Understanding what is normal reduces struggle. And reducing struggle often improves sleep more than any technique. If there is one message to take from this video, it is this. Waking up at 3 in the morning after 40 does not mean your body is broken. It means your body is changing. Sleep becomes lighter. Timing shifts. The nervous system becomes more responsive. These changes are not failures. They are adaptations. Many people sleep worse because they fight these changes instead of understanding them. Gentle awareness often brings more rest than control. If you wake at 3 a.m., notice your breath. Notice your body. Remind yourself that this moment is safe. Rest does not always look like deep sleep. Sometimes, it looks like calm presence. Your body still knows how to rest. And often, when you stop trying to force sleep, sleep finds you again.